The massive starship drifted silently through the unexplored quadrant of the Andromeda sector. Captain David Kim stood at the bridge, his eyes scanning the holographic displays that flickered with alien star charts. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their movements smooth and calculated. Suddenly, a massive alien vessel emerged from the darkness of space. Its surface was unlike anything humans had encountered before, a shimmering membrane of metallic blue that seemed to breathe and pulse with an otherworldly energy. The Xylarian ship was easily 10 times the size of the human exploration vessel, its presence both terrifying and magnificent. Communication crackled to life. A series of strange clicks and harmonic tones filled the ship's communication systems. Elena Kim, the lead communication specialist, worked quickly to translate. Her fingers danced across the quantum translation matrix, decoding the alien language in real time. "They're requesting visual contact," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the bridge. David nodded. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a group of alien beings that looked nothing like humans. They were tall, incredibly thin creatures with translucent skin that seemed to shimmer under artificial light. Multiple eyes, at least 6 on each face, blinked in what appeared to be a synchronized pattern of confusion and curiosity. The lead alien, who would later be identified as Researcher June, spoke first. His voice came through with a mechanical precision that felt almost musical. "Humans," he began, "we have been observing your approach. Your lack of protective shielding is concerning." David stepped forward wearing nothing more than standard ship's attire, a simple gray uniform that left his arms and neck completely exposed. The alien researchers literally recoiled on the screen, their bodies seeming to ripple with what could only be described as shock. "Is something wrong?" David asked, genuinely confused by their reaction. The translation matrix worked overtime, converting the aliens' complex language into simple human speech. Researcher June's response was immediate and filled with what seemed like genuine concern. "You are standing in direct radiation exposure. Your biological structure should be disintegrating. How are you not dead?" Michael Lee, the ship's medical officer, chuckled. It was a sound that seemed to confuse the aliens even more. He stepped closer to the view screen, rolling up his sleeve to reveal skin that showed absolutely no signs of radiation damage. The next few hours became a demonstration of human resilience that would become legendary across multiple galactic civilizations. The human crew moved about their tasks, walked through simulated high-radiation environments, and showed absolutely no concern for conditions that would have instantly killed most known sentient species. Researcher June and his team watched in absolute amazement. Their scientific instruments confirmed what their eyes were seeing. These humans were somehow completely immune to radiation that should have destroyed them in seconds. Their cellular structures repaired damage faster than any known biological system in the known universe. "It's just how we're built," David explained simply, as if discussing something as mundane as the weather. "Humans have been adapting to harsh environments for thousands of years." The alien researchers took countless scans, ran multiple tests, and continued to verify what seemed impossible. Humans could walk through solar flares, survive on planets with extreme radiation, and show nothing more than a slight tan. What the humans saw as ordinary, the aliens saw as a miracle of biological engineering. Their initial fear transformed into pure scientific excitement. Questions poured in. How did humans develop such resistance? What evolutionary path led to such incredible adaptability? Elena translated the questions, her voice calm and professional. The bridge crew answered each query with a matter-of-fact simplicity that made their extraordinary abilities seem completely normal. As the first contact continued, something remarkable happened. The aliens stopped seeing humans as just another species and started viewing them as something more, a potential key to understanding survival itself. The universe would never be the same after this moment. Humans had just shown that they were not just another species to be categorized and studied. They were something special, something unexpected. And it all started with a simple conversation in the middle of an unexplored star system, where human Resilience first met alien scientific curiosity. The research facility gleamed with an artificial sterility that spoke of advanced technology. Researcher June stood before a wall of complex equipment, his translucent skin reflecting the soft, blue light of multiple holographic displays. Scattered around him were various human samples, blood, skin cells, and genetic material that had become the most fascinating scientific discovery in recent galactic history. Days turned into weeks of continuous research. The human biological samples defied every known scientific understanding. Where other species would show immediate cellular breakdown, human cells demonstrated an extraordinary ability to repair and regenerate. It was like watching a living puzzle that constantly solved itself. Elena Kim arrived at the research facility, bringing additional medical records and genetic histories. The aliens watched her with a mixture of curiosity and barely contained excitement. She carried with her a simple digital tablet, its contents holding more scientific wonder than entire libraries of alien research. "We want to understand," June explained, his multiple eyes blinking in a rhythm that suggested deep concentration. "How do humans survive what should be impossible?" Michael Lee, the medical officer who had accompanied the initial exploration team, began explaining the basics of human evolutionary adaptation. He spoke of how humans originated on a planet with increasing environmental challenges, radiation, changing climates, diverse environments. Humans had always found a way to survive. The research took unexpected turns. They discovered that human melanin wasn't just a pigmentation mechanism, it was a sophisticated radiation shield. The DNA repair enzymes worked faster and more efficiently than any known biological system in the galaxy. What seemed like a simple genetic trait was actually a complex survival mechanism developed over thousands of years. Alien scientists ran test after test. They exposed human cell samples to radiation levels that would instantly destroy their own species. The results were always the same. The human cells not only survived, but seemed to become stronger. It was as if radiation was nothing more than a mild inconvenience. One particular experiment caught everyone's attention. A small sample of human skin was placed in a chamber that simulated the surface of a star. Normal biological matter would have disappeared instantly. The human sample simply sat there, showing minimal damage. The alien researchers looked at each other in disbelief. "This is impossible," one of the junior researchers muttered, checking the equipment multiple times to ensure it wasn't malfunctioning. But it was possible. Humans had done the impossible. The research went deeper. They discovered that human bodies didn't just resist radiation, they actively adapted to it. Each exposure seemed to trigger a complex cellular response that improved future resistance. It was evolution happening in real time, something most species could only dream about. Genetic maps were created, compared, analyzed. The human genome became the most studied biological structure in the known universe. Other species began sending research requests, hoping to understand this remarkable biological miracle. "Imagine the possibilities," June would say to his team. "A species that can survive where others cannot. A species that turns hostile environments into opportunities." The implications were enormous. Planetary exploration, space travel, colonization of extreme environments. Humans had capabilities that made them unique. What other species saw as deadly, humans saw as a challenge to be overcome. Elena watched the researchers work, understanding the magnitude of their discovery. Humans had always known they were adaptable, but seeing it through alien eyes was something entirely different. They weren't just survivors. They were masters of biological adaptation. Blood samples showed something even more remarkable. The human immune system didn't just fight diseases, it learned from them. Each exposure made the body stronger, more resistant. It was like having a living, breathing defense system that constantly upgraded itself. As weeks of research continued, the initial fear of humans transformed into pure scientific admiration. The alien researchers no longer saw humans as just another species. They saw them as a biological marvel, a testament to the incredible potential of adaptive life. "We have so much to learn," June would often say, his scientific excitement barely contained. The research facility became a hub of activity. Scientists from multiple alien civilizations came to witness the human biological miracle. What had started as a simple first contact had become a turning point in understanding life itself. Humans had always known they were special. Now the entire galaxy was about to learn why. The experimental chamber looked like something between a medical facility and a spacecraft control room. Bright lights illuminated a space designed to push human biological limits to their absolute extreme. Elena Kim stood at the center, surrounded by alien scientists who watched her with a mixture of scientific curiosity and barely concealed anxiety. "Are you certain about this?" Researcher June asked, his multiple eyes blinking with concern. Elena simply smiled. She had volunteered for what would become the most extensive human resilience test in galactic history. The chamber was designed to simulate conditions that would instantly destroy any known biological organism. Extreme radiation, temperature variations, and solar intensity that defied normal survival parameters. The first test began with solar radiation levels that exceeded anything previously recorded. Most species would have been reduced to ash in milliseconds. Elena stood perfectly calm, her body showing no immediate signs of stress. Monitoring equipment went crazy, recording data that seemed impossible. "Impossible," muttered one alien researcher, checking and rechecking his instruments. Michael Lee observed from a separate monitoring station, carefully tracking every biological response. The human body wasn't just surviving, it was adapting. Each moment of extreme exposure seemed to trigger a complex cellular response that actually improved biological resistance. The experiments continued. They moved through different environmental challenges. A chamber that simulated the surface of a neutron star, temperatures and radiation levels that should have been instantly fatal. Elena walked through it like someone taking a casual stroll on a mild summer day. Alien scientists began to realize they were witnessing something beyond mere biological adaptation. Humans weren't just surviving, they were rewriting the understanding of life itself. Each test pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible. Temperature tests came next. They created environments that ranged from near absolute zero to temperatures that would melt most known metals. Elena's body maintained its core temperature, her biological systems working with an efficiency that seemed almost magical. "How is this possible?" one junior researcher asked, his voice a mixture of fear and excitement. The team discovered that human cells had a remarkable ability to repair themselves almost instantaneously. Radiation damage that would permanently destroy other biological systems was simply absorbed and corrected within moments. It was like watching a living, breathing repair mechanism that never stopped working. More volunteers joined Elena. Michael Lee and several other crew members participated in various tests. Each human showed similar remarkable abilities. What the aliens had thought was unique to one individual was actually a species-wide capability. They tested psychological resilience alongside physical endurance, extreme isolation, sensory deprivation, environments that would drive most species to immediate mental breakdown. The humans remained calm, collected, adaptable. Researcher June began to understand that they were looking at something more than just a biological anomaly. Humans represented a form of life that could potentially survive anywhere in the universe. Planets that were considered uninhabitable suddenly became potential human colonies. The final test pushed everything to the absolute limit. A simulated environment that combined extreme radiation, temperature, and pressure, conditions that theoretically should destroy any known form of life. Helena stood in the center of the chamber, her body showing nothing more than mild curiosity. When the test concluded, the results were beyond anything the alien researchers had ever imagined. Not only had Elena survived, but her biological systems had actually improved. Each extreme exposure made her body more resistant, more adaptable. "Remarkable," June whispered, his scientific understanding completely transformed. The human crew treated these extraordinary tests as if they were nothing more than routine medical examinations. What the aliens saw as miraculous, humans saw as simply another day of exploration. As the final reports were compiled, one thing became absolutely clear. Humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were something entirely different. A life form that could potentially survive anywhere, adapt to anything, overcome any challenge. News traveled fast across the galaxy. The human ability to survive extreme conditions spread like wildfire through alien communication networks. Civilizations that had previously considered humans a minor species suddenly sat up and took notice. The Galactic Council convened an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of alien species gathered to discuss the extraordinary human capabilities. What had begun as a simple scientific discovery was rapidly transforming into a potential game-changer for interstellar exploration. David Kim found himself at the center of unprecedented diplomatic attention. Where humans were once considered minor players in galactic politics, they were now seen as something extraordinary. Exploration contracts flooded in from multiple alien civilizations, each desperate to have humans on their planetary survey teams. Mining. Corporations were the first to recognize the true value. Planets with extreme radiation, intense solar conditions, and hostile environments suddenly became potential resource zones. Humans could explore and work in areas that would kill other species within seconds. The economic implications were massive. Military. Strategists from various alien civilizations began studying human capabilities with intense interest. A species that could survive where others couldn't represented a completely new approach to space exploration and potential conflict. Humans were no longer just explorers. They were becoming a strategic resource. Elena Kim found herself leading diplomatic missions to various alien worlds. Her ability to casually walk through environments that would destroy other life forms made her a walking symbol of human potential. Alien leaders would watch in awe as she moved through their most challenging environments without protective gear. Research facilities across the galaxy began offering enormous contracts to human scientists. The human genome became the most studied biological structure in galactic history. Every alien civilization wanted to understand the secret of human adaptability. Michael Lee started a specialized training program. Humans began teaching other species about biological adaptation, radiation resistance, and survival techniques. What was once a human-only capability started to become shared knowledge across multiple civilizations. The economic shift was immediate and dramatic. Human explorers became the most sought-after professionals in the galaxy. Exploration teams that included humans could go where no other team had gone before. Planets once considered impossible to explore were now potential new homes. Researcher June, who had first studied human capabilities, became a leading voice in promoting human potential. He published extensive research papers that demonstrated how human biological systems represented a quantum leap in understanding life itself. Space colonization programs transformed overnight. Planets with extreme conditions that were previously ignored became potential new homes. Humans could terraform and survive in environments that would kill other species instantly. The concept of planetary exploration was completely redefined. Alien corporations began offering massive incentives for human explorers. Recruitment programs specifically targeting humans became standard across multiple civilizations. A species that was once considered minor was now seen as the key to unlocking galactic potential. The psychological impact was perhaps most significant. Humans went from being seen as a young, inexperienced species to becoming the most adaptable life form in the known universe. Their casual approach to extreme conditions became legendary across multiple star systems. Diplomatic relations shifted dramatically. Alien civilizations that had previously ignored humans now sought their cooperation. Human scientists were invited to research facilities across the galaxy. What had started as a simple first contact had become a complete transformation of galactic understanding. Space exploration companies redesigned their entire approach. Human resistance to radiation and extreme conditions meant that missions could be planned differently. Areas of space once considered too dangerous became potential exploration zones. As the months passed, humans found themselves at the center of a galactic revolution. Their unique biological capabilities had changed everything. What seemed like a simple genetic trait had transformed the entire understanding of life, exploration, and survival. The galaxy would never be the same. Humans had proven that they were not just another species. They were something extraordinary, a life form that could survive, adapt, and thrive where others could not. 10 years had passed since the first human-alien contact. The galaxy looked completely different now. Humans had become the most important species in interstellar exploration, their unique biological capabilities changing everything. Humanity and alien civilizations understood about survival. Research stations dotted hundreds of previously uninhabitable planets. Where other species saw impossible environments, humans saw opportunities. Colonies emerged in places that were once considered death zones, extreme temperature planets, radiation-intense solar systems, and worlds with conditions that would destroy most life forms. David Kim, now a senior diplomatic advisor, stood on the surface of a planet that would have killed any other species in moments. Intense solar radiation swept across the landscape, but he moved freely, wearing nothing more than standard exploration gear. Alien researchers watched in continued amazement. The genetic exchange programs had become the most significant scientific collaboration in galactic history. Alien species began developing biological adaptation techniques based on human research. What was once a uniquely human capability was slowly becoming a shared understanding of survival. Elena Kim led the Interspecies Adaptation Research Center. Her work had transformed how different civilizations understood biological potential. Researchers from hundreds of alien species worked together, breaking down previous limitations of life and survival. Economically, humans had become the most valuable resource in the galaxy. Exploration contracts, scientific research positions, and colonial development programs sought human expertise. What had started as a scientific curiosity had become a complete transformation of galactic potential. Researcher June, now a respected leader in xenobiology, continued to study human capabilities. His research had proven that humans were not just surviving in extreme conditions. They were actively improving their biological systems with each exposure. Military strategies completely changed. Planets and solar systems that were once considered impossible to explore or colonize became potential new territories. Human resistance to radiation and extreme conditions meant that no environment was truly uninhabitable. The psychological impact was perhaps most profound. Alien civilizations that had once viewed humans as a minor species now saw them as the most adaptable life form in the known universe. Human casual approach to extreme conditions became a symbol of potential and hope. Diplomatic relations transformed. Humans were no longer seen as newcomers to the galactic community, but as its most important members. Their ability to survive and adapt became a model for other species to understand biological potential. Michael Lee developed comprehensive adaptation training programs. Species from across the galaxy learned human survival techniques. What was once a unique human capability became a shared understanding of biological resilience. Space exploration companies completely redesigned their approaches. Missions that were once considered impossible became routine. Humans could go where no other species dared, opening up entire new areas of scientific discovery and resource exploration. The first truly mixed species colonies began emerging. Humans provided the biological stability, while other species contributed their unique technological and cultural perspectives. It was a new model of interstellar cooperation that nobody had previously imagined. Genetic research centers worked tirelessly to understand and potentially replicate human adaptation capabilities. While complete replication remained impossible, significant breakthroughs emerged that helped other species become more resilient. Planetary terraforming became faster and more efficient. Humans could work in environments that would require massive protective systems for other species. Entire worlds that were once considered uninhabitable became potential new homes. The economic impact was massive. Human expertise became the most valuable resource in the galaxy. Exploration contracts, scientific research positions, and colonial development programs sought human involvement. As years passed, the initial shock of human capabilities transformed into a new understanding of life itself. Humans had proven that biological potential was far more significant than anyone had previously understood. The galaxy had changed. What had started with a simple first contact between humans and aliens had become a complete transformation of how different species understood survival, exploration, and potential. And humanity was just getting started. The universe waited, full of possibilities that humans would continue to explore, adapt to, and ultimately transform.